Welcome back, everyone, to another unsettling episode of Dearest Mother's Darkest Secrets. I am your host, Teri True Crime, and today we continue our journey into the shadows where motherhood takes a dark and twisted turn. In our last episode, we explored the story of a mother who cried wolf, deceiving those around her with devastating lies. Today, we delve into a case that is equally haunting yet deeply tragic, a case that shocked the nation and left us grappling with the question, how could a mother do this to her own child? This is the story of Dena Schlosser, a woman whose battle with mental illness took a terrifying turn, leading to an act so unimaginable it defies comprehension. It's a story of faith twisted by delusion, of a mother's love corrupted by an overpowering darkness caused by her mental illness. As we unravel the events leading up to the fateful day, we'll confront the disturbing reality of untreated mental illness and the catastrophic consequences that can follow. But be warned, this is not an easy story to hear. So pour yourself a glass of wine, take a deep breath, and join me as we uncover the harrowing tale of Dena Schlosser, a story that forces us to ask what could cause a mother's love to turn deadly. On November 22nd, 2004, the quiet town of Plano, Texas, was rocked by a horrific event that left the community in shock and disbelief. And guys, as a person who lived in Dallas, I can tell you this really rocked Dallas, Plano, the entire Metroplex. I lived there at the time that this happened, and it truly shocked everyone, and still to this day is something that many people know and talk about. Dena Schlosser was a 35-year-old mother of three. She was found in her apartment, her hands and clothing covered in blood, after she had severed the arms of her 10-month-old daughter, Margaret, who everyone called Maggie, in a gruesome act that defied comprehension. This horrifying incident not only underscored the devastating effects of untreated postpartum psychosis, but also raised troubling questions about the intersection of mental illness and religious extremism. Dena Schlosser was born on April 19th, 1969, in upstate New York. Her early life was marked by significant medical challenges, including a diagnosis of hydrocephalus at age 8. This condition, characterized by an abnormal buildup of cerebral spinal fluid in the brain, required Dena to undergo 8 surgeries by the time she was 13 to implant shunts into her brain, heart, and abdomen. These procedures alleviated the pressure on her brain, but left her with a lasting sense of vulnerability and a profound fear of medical procedures. Guys, yeah, that we don't stop and think about that. All of these children who have to go through surgeries multiple times, what it does to their brain and to the trauma. Despite these challenges, Dena showed remarkable resilience, excelling academically and earning a bachelor's degree in psychology from Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York. Her choice of major may have been influenced by her own experience with medical and psychological challenges as she sought to understand the complexities of the human mind. While attending Marist College, Dena met her future husband, John Schlosser. The couple married in 1995 and eventually moved to Texas, where they started their family. Dena gave birth to three daughters, and by all outward appearances, the Schlossers seemed to be a typical suburban family. However, beneath the surface, Dena was grappling with severe depression and anxiety, all which was exacerbated by the stresses of motherhood. Dena's struggle with mental health became apparent after the birth of her second child when she was diagnosed with postpartum depression. Despite this diagnosis, Dena did not receive consistent treatment, leaving her vulnerable to further deterioration. After the birth of her third child, Maggie, in February of 2004, Dena's mental health took a sharp turn for the worse. She began experiencing severe mood swings, hallucinations, and delusions, hallmark symptoms of postpartum psychosis, a rare but severe mental illness that can lead to disordered thinking and, in extreme cases like this, violent behavior. Postpartum psychosis often necessitates immediate medical intervention, including hospitalization and antipsychotic medication. However, Dena's condition went largely untreated. Her husband and hers involvement with the controversial preacher Dole Davidson played a significant role in this. Davison led a small religious group, preached that mental illness was a manifestation of demonic possession and could be cured through prayer and religious devotion. Guys, just going to tell you now, no, prayer and religious devotion is not going to combat getting treatment for psychosis. John's adherence to these beliefs led him to reject conventional medical treatments for Dena, instead relying on religious rituals to cure her. As Dena's mental state deteriorated, she began experiencing visions and hearing voices, including a command from God to harm her child. Despite these clear warning signs, no intervention was made, setting the stage for the tragedy that would soon unfold. On the morning of November 22nd, 2004, Dena Schlosser was at home with her three daughters. Her husband was at work, and the other children were playing in another room. Dena had been listening to a hymn called He Touched Me when she suddenly felt an overwhelming urge to harm her youngest daughter, Maggie. In a horrifying act, Dena retrieved a large kitchen knife and severed Maggie's arms at the shoulders. Afterwards, she calmly dialed 911 and told the operator, "I cut her arms off."
I cut her arms off.
You cut her arms off?
The dispatcher, initially confused, quickly realized the gravity of the situation and sent emergency responders to the Schlosser's apartment. When police arrived, they found Dena sitting calmly in her living room, covered in blood, with the hymn still playing in the background. Maggie was rushed to the hospital, but tragically succumbed to her injuries. Dena was immediately arrested and charged with capital murder. During her initial interrogation, it became clear that Dena was not in a sound mental state. She told investigators that she believed she was sacrificing her daughter to God, a statement that underscored the severity of her psychosis. Following her arrest, Dena underwent multiple psychiatric evaluations, revealing a complex history of untreated mental illness, including postpartum psychosis, major depressive disorder, and generalized anxiety disorder. The evaluations also noted the significant influence of her husband in his religious beliefs, which likely exacerbated her condition. The legal proceedings that followed were highly publicized, with the media closely following every development. The defense, led by attorney David Haynes, argued that Dena was not guilty by reason of insanity, presenting a compelling case that she was suffering from postpartum psychosis at the time of the crime, rendering her incapable of understanding the nature of her actions or distinguishing right from wrong. Several expert witnesses, including psychiatrists and psychologists, testified about Dena's mental state. Dr. David Self, a forensic psychiatrist, testified that Dena had a long history of untreated mental illness that had deteriorated significantly after the birth of her third child. He described her as being in a state of psychotic delusion at the time of the killing, believing that she was carrying out a divine command. The prosecution, led by Collin County District Attorney John Roach, did not dispute that Dena was mentally ill, but argued that she still posed a danger to society. They emphasized the gruesome nature of the crime and highlighted the influence of John Schlosser and Dole Davidson, suggesting that their extreme religious beliefs had contributed to Dena's mental breakdown. In 2006, after a lengthy trial, the jury found Dena not guilty by reason of insanity. She was committed to the North Texas State Hospital, a high security psychiatric facility where she would receive treatment and be closely monitored by mental health professionals. The court ruled that Dena would remain under psychiatric care until she was deemed no longer a threat to herself or others. In the years following her commitment, Dena's case continued to make headlines. In 2008, she was briefly released from the state hospital, but was recommitted after a brief period due to concerns about her mental state. She was then again released to outpatient status and stayed out of the public eye until 2012, when she was discovered to be working under her maiden name at Walmart. Walmart fired her within hours. Due to ongoing mental health issues, Dena was recommitted to the state's care and remains in a state hospital. Now, guys, I want to clarify, Walmart did not fire her because of her mental health issues. Walmart fired her because she lied on her employment application about her conviction and used her maiden name to hide who she really was when they did a background check. Now, an interesting tidbit is that Dena was a roommate of Andrea Yates, the Texas mother who drowned her 5 children in the bathtub and who will be highlighted in a future episode. John was able to regain custody of his other 2 daughters after going through therapy and parenting classes. He raises the daughters as a single father after divorcing Dena. As part of the divorce settlement, Dena was prohibited from ever having contact with her daughters. Now, guys, I'm going to have to tell you my thoughts on this. He should not have regained custody of his other 2 daughters unless he also agreed to no longer follow the pastor who didn't believe in mental illness. That is just my 2 cents, because if he would have gone to a different church, maybe Dena would have gotten the help she so desperately needed, and Maggie would still be with us today. The case of Dena Schlosser sparked a nationwide debate about mental health, postpartum psychosis, and the role of religion in addressing psychological disorder. Many questioned how such a tragedy could have been prevented and whether the mental health care system had failed Dena and her family. Because remember, she had seen a doctor and she got sporadic care, but her husband didn't believe in that care, so she stopped. Guys, that concludes our deep dive into the tragic and disturbing case of Dena Schlosser. It's a story that leaves us with more questions than answers, a story where the lines between faith, mental illness, and tragedy blur into a heartbreaking reality that we are seeing more and more often. As we reflect on what we've uncovered today, it is important to remember that the warning signs of mental illness should never be ignored. Dena's story is a stark reminder of the catastrophic consequences that can unfold when someone in need doesn't receive the help they desperately require. Now, the National Maternal Mental Health Hotline, you can call or text 1-833 TLC MAMA or 1-833-852-6262 for free confidential support 24/7. This hotline is available before, during, and after pregnancy and have counselors who speak English and Spanish. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please reach out to a professional. Help is out there, and it's never too late to seek it. And there should not be any negative stigma for getting the help someone needs. We wouldn't bash someone for getting cancer treatments, so let's not bash people for getting mental health treatment. It is something that you need. I see a therapist. I've seen a therapist off and on for years. It's okay to say you're not okay. You can call or text that National Maternal Mental Health line at 833-852-6262. Like I said, this hotline is available before, during, and after pregnancy. I want to thank you for joining me on this emotional journey. I know this was a tough episode, but it's stories like this that remind us of the importance of awareness and compassion, even in the darkest of circumstances. And don't forget to like this video and leave a comment below letting us know your thoughts about this case. If you've liked what you've seen, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and then become a member by clicking the join button and get early access to Dearest Mother's Darkest Secrets videos and much, much more. Join me next time as we uncover yet another dark tale of motherhood gone wrong. Until then, stay curious and remember, sometimes the darkest secrets are the ones we keep closest. I'm Teri True Crime, and until next time, stay safe, watch out for crime, and enjoy your wine time. I'll see you on the next episode.